Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling, well, a really critical global issue. That's the India-Pakistan conflict. It's complex, it's persistent. Our mission here is to cut through the noise, pull out the key insights from sources like India-Pakistan conflict, a comprehensive analysis, and get beyond just the headlines.
Exactly. Think of this as your shortcut. We want you to quickly grasp the history, the military balance today, those crucial nuclear doctrines, and what it all means internationally. You'll see why this rivalry matters far beyond South Asia.
Okay, so let's unpack this. You really have to start with the history, don't you? The core issue being in Jammu and Kashmir. This dispute, it's fueled four major wars. We're talking 1947-48, right after partition, then 65-71, and Kargil in 99.
Right, and that 71 war, that was huge. India's support for Bangladesh's liberation, it essentially split Pakistan in two, a massive strategic shift. And Kargil in 99, that was Pakistan's intrusion across the line of control in Kashmir, which India pushed back pretty decisively.
That history definitely looms large. So how does that translate to today's capabilities? This is where it gets really interesting, looking at the numbers.
Yes. If we look at the 2025 estimates, the conventional balance heavily favors India. Personnel-wise, India is at about 1.45 million active troops.
Yeah.
Pakistan, around 654,000.
Yeah.
So a big difference there.
More than double. Okay. And does that extend to equipment like tanks and aircraft?
It does, generally. Tanks, India has roughly, let's say, 4,500 versus Pakistan's maybe 2,400. Air power, similar story. India's got around 600 fighter jets. Think Su-30 NKIs, the new Abrolets. Pakistan's around 350, relying on JF-17, some F-16s.
Okay. Navy too.
Navy as well, yeah. India's fleet is larger, over 150 ships compared to Pakistan's 100 or so. But, and this is the critical, but when you look at nuclear weapons, things get much closer. India is estimated around 170 warheads. Pakistan maybe 165. It's almost parity there.
So that near parity in nuclear capability, despite India's conventional edge, that must drastically shape their strategies, especially escalation. How do their nuclear doctrines differ?
Fundamentally, India has a stated no first use, or NFU policy. They say they won't start a nuclear war. However, they emphasize a credible second strike capability, meaning if they are hit first, they can absolutely hit back hard.
Survive and retaliate.
Exactly. Pakistan, though, has a different approach. No formal NFU. Their doctrine implies a first-use option, potentially using nuclear weapons if they feel their conventional forces are being overwhelmed, maybe if their territorial integrity is severely threatened.
So Pakistan might go nuclear before India does if they feel cornered.
That's the implication. And it means any large-scale conventional conflict carries this incredibly high risk of escalating very quickly to the nuclear level. It's a terrifying prospect.
Absolutely. And modern warfare isn't just about troops and tanks anymore, right? What about terrain, cyber, drones? How does that complicate things?
Right point. Terrain matters hugely. Kashmir, for instance, is mountainous. That favors defenders, makes large offensives difficult. But the plains in Punjab and Rajasthan, that's classic tank country. Better for large-scale maneuvers, artillery.
And technology.
Well, India generally holds air superiority. But both sides are developing new capabilities fast. Cyber warfare, for example. India seems to have an edge in offensive cyber capabilities. Pakistan, on the other hand, has been very active in developing and using drone technology, particularly for surveillance and potentially attack. These add, whole new layers of complexity.
Okay, let's connect this to the bigger picture. If the worst happened, how would the world react?
Intense international pressure, immediately. China, Pakistan's main ally, would likely use diplomatic leverage against India, but probably wouldn't intervene militarily. Too risky. The U.S., they want stability. They lean more towards India diplomatically these days, though historically they armed Pakistan. Their main goal would be de-escalation, pushing hard for it.
And the UN?
The UN, other major powers, they'd all push for an immediate ceasefire.
Yeah.
The nuclear dimension just makes the stakes too high for the entire world.
Beyond the geopolitics, the human cost? It's hard to even fathom. What would the impact be economically on civilians?
Devastating. For India, even with its large $3.5 trillion plus economy, a major war would hit growth hard, scare off investors, require massive mobilization, huge disruption. For Pakistan, already facing economic difficulties, a full-blown conflict could be catastrophic. Potential collapse of infrastructure, governance, just chaos.
And the people caught in the middle.
Civilian impact would be immense. Especially in border regions, we'd be looking at mass displacement, huge numbers of casualties, a humanitarian crisis on a massive scale.
So the really big question, looking ahead to 2025, what's the actual probability of a full-scale war breaking out?
Based on the analysis, the probability of an all-out conventional turned nuclear war is thankfully considered low, primarily because of that nuclear deterrent. Both sides know the ultimate cost. But that raises a crucial point. If not full war, then what is likely?
Right, what should we expect?
The probability remains high for other forms of conflict. Border skirmishes, we see those frequently. Proxy warfare, supporting militants. The risk of terrorist attacks is, unfortunately, persistent, and increasingly, hybrid warfare. That means cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, covert ops, things below the threshold of outright war, but still destabilizing.
So wrapping this up, the key takeaway seems to be that while a full-scale war is incredibly dangerous, maybe unlikely because of the nuclear threat.
Correct. India has the conventional advantage, no doubt. But Pakistan's nuclear threshold, combined with that guaranteed international pressure for a ceasefire, acts as a powerful brake on total conflict.
Which means the most probable future involves these limited clashes, maybe terror incidents, constant diplomatic tension, this sort of simmering conflict.
That seems to be the most realistic scenario, yes. Limited conflicts, standoffs, hybrid tactics, rather than open war.
It leaves you with a sobering thought, though. How do nations actually manage this state of almost war, where these limited conflicts and hybrid attacks just become the norm, always living on the edge of something truly unthinkable, something for all of us to consider?